So obviously, we joked about being fiber snobs. Drink. Oh, come on. Come on. That's the term. But in all seriousness, if we all agree that obviously the building now is key, the connecting with the community. Is there clarity though on these communities understanding the value of fiber, right? Because if there is so much media, Daniel mentioned Elon Musk and Starlink and what's happening there, but arguably there's a lot, depending on where you're getting your news or what you're reading. You can have varied opinions on, hey, I'm just going to get 5G, I'm just going to get satellite. Is there an opportunity to help drive education on fiber to help this monetization in the long run?
That's our job. That's what we have to do, right? Because the word insidious was used. That's the first time I've heard it used for broadband. And
I was thinking Star Wars, but
it's perfect. There's a job to be done to communicate with everyone what's possible with this technology. Because what people are realizing now is, I saw an article in the city of Houston where people are seeing pedestals put in the right of way. It is the right of way, right? But now they've got a pedestal sitting outside their living room window, and they're looking at it saying, this is really annoying. There has to be some communication on what this does and what this enables, because that same pedestal, if it's a fiber pedestal, might be now serving their child at home, to homeschool. So there's that communication necessary for sure. And the hard part about it is it's obscured by large companies and their messages and terms like 5G and whatnot. The big companies make it harder, and they refocus everybody's gaze on something that's not important, right? Or something that's a distraction, because this is about connectivity and improving speed. But there's some companies out there that want to slow down development and keep it controlled for their investors.
Yeah, I think Brian is on point. I couldn't agree more. And one of the things at least we have had success in is just having a lot of conversation, whether it's a town hall meeting, the select board meeting, the baked bean, kind of events. It's just having that conversation and having it in a way that's non-judgmental. I think that's important. Having it in a way that's empathetic, because the consumers have been given this massive dose of a lot of information that is non-contextual, right? Yeah, sure, 5G, I'll have it tomorrow and be able to watch, the next, the Winter Soldier and the Falcon on Disney Plus, which is not possible here in rural Maine, right? Or yeah,
some
sure.
5G, maybe you're going to get cancer from it. So that's the other, that's the total extremes.
Hey, Nick, we get asked those questions, and we have to sort of walk it through, right? So we say, look, what kind of data? Where'd you read it? What are the sources? Here are some science behind it. And you have to respect where that perspective is coming from and be transparent in your ability to trying to be objective and show what the source of that data is, and then to be able to counteract that with some facts, right? So if it's 5G, well, let's look at the facts. If it's the low Earth orbit, hey, we've had a couple of people get that. And are they really getting those speeds? Maybe. But there's an installation cost. And who is going to pick up your customer support call, right? So that kind of stuff. It takes a long time. It's repetitive. It's not the second, third, fourth, maybe on the seventh or eighth time does that kind of a relaxed conversation then start to seep in. And then they say, okay, I get you. Now I got another list of 10 questions. So it requires an enormous amount of patience, which one could argue is not in our best interest. But I would counter argue that it is actually in our best interest, because we're playing the long ball. Because once those customers trust you, once they believe that you are a validated source of trust, then they're going to stick with you through thick and thin. And that is a very human thing, right? So we're not in the business of just having a monetary transaction. We're in the business of a human inter-exchange that bleeds down to their 5 kids being able to get on a Zoom call. And trust me, I have them, right? Zoom call without the wheel of death of life taking place. And that's enormously frustrating, enormously frustrating. And then the kid's going, I can't do my band practice. And what am I doing? And I throw the band thing out of the window. Then you're like, as a father, well, no, I should bring that back. You really need your education. It's a good thing. But I think these are really sort of these elemental things that require enormous amount of conversation. And we get that every day.
I think the FCC needs to invest in a PR plan on fiber, huh?
Well, yeah. I think we have a whole new future episode, Nick, where we can just focus on fact checking, right? I mean, think about it.
We get the truthiness of fiber.
I move into this house. I call the broadband provider. I won't mention them by name. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm really interested in getting your fiber service. And, at the time I was the one that sold them the fiber GPON products. So I knew exactly, what they're doing, where they're doing it. And they say, yeah, we got fiber. Yeah, we have a great offering. Yeah, we can do 80 meg. And I'm like, 80 meg? What are you talking about? I want fiber. And they're like, yeah, no, we got fiber. It's fiber. And I'm like, no, but you said 80 meg. You mean like DSL, bonded VDSL? And they're like, no, it's DSL, but it's fiber DSL. It's like I only got the right connection because I then called the local planner for the telco to say, hey, buddy, I went and bought this house because you told me we were going to have the fiber there, right? Like literally, and he's like, what? And then, the database wasn't updated, this and that. I ultimately got my fiber, but it's that kind of stuff, right? It's misinformation. The CSR didn't know, and what's the difference? And so I definitely feel for you guys, because you do have to handhold them right now. And I talked to my mom, and it's like they just hear this stuff on the news and this and that, and what a complex issue actually. And for us, people that know fiber, and when you get it there, we know what it is, and it's so simple, but it's so complex to the community.
And I don't know, man, this is almost one of the holy grails of our industry. It's very hard to reach a level where the consumer is ever going to be fully educated on our product. I mean, you got, people calling the internet their Wi-Fi and their fiber, their wireless, and we laugh, but it's just, it's not even close. Like they don't understand the product, and then you try to go have conversations with policymakers, and they're just as bad. Like they don't understand the technology or how it works, or why Elon Musk isn't going to stop the need for fiber construction and all of that. And so it's certainly, Grim said the long ball strategy is certainly there. I think one thing that has worked for us, certainly didn't solve, this large problem in our industry, but it did help. It's pre-marketing, just efforts associated with, explaining what you're doing, putting flyers out before you start construction, having the pre-meetings with civic leaders, and, making very simple one sheets, talk about the key parts of what you're doing, and, what these things are called, and explaining what a pedestal might look like in the front yard, and, who to talk to if you've got a problem, and then we've had success too with, just the point of communication. If you have people just like, number one, you got to make sure all your field techs are approachable and are willing to speak to people. It's funny, my company finally got to the point where I don't know everybody, and that's just I don't know, it's kind of a sad and proud moment at the same time, I guess. But I was taking my boys to Kansas City, and we stopped in at a rural town, and I saw one of our fiber splicers there, and I opened the door, and I said, would you show these boys how you're doing this. And he had no idea who I was. But it was a good test. And he took the time, like you could tell he was really busy. And at first he was kind of reluctant, but he said, yeah,
He's
bring
like,
him
who
in.
the hell are you?
Yeah. Like, and he took the time to explain it. And if I was a guy living in town, that would have been a sale, right? Like that guy took time to show my boys what fiber is, and I'd absolutely buy something from somebody that did that for my kids. And so I think just that kind of image and making sure your salespeople are walking door to door, like they're not calling, they're out there, they're running into people. I think that's the magic secret sauce in a lot of ways, and pulling something like this off.
Clearly, and I think COVID has exacerbated that, right? People want to connect with people, no pun intended.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.